Hey everyone, it's Jeannie, and today I am taking part in the Trinity Stamps new release video hub for the January release. My stamp set that I will be featuring is the Dragon Dance stamp set, which I was immediately drawn to because it's super cute and also the best stamp set for an interactive card for line dancing. There are people that are holding these things and they are moving their heads around, and I think it's so adorable, perfect for an interactive card. I'm going to go ahead and stamp out the dragon head first, and I will be using my Copic markers to color them up. I do speed this up, but I kind of color slowly for white areas because you just have to have a little bit of shadow, and I use my gray Copic markers to achieve that look. Although it does show up gray here, it will blend out, and as you add more colors around it, it will look more white. So when I first saw this set, I knew I had to do an interactive card, and will admit that I am a bit rusty with them. I haven't made interactive cards in a really long time, and mainly because they take a lot of time, and the past year has been super busy, and I just haven't had the time to do them. But as I was creating this card and another card for the new release, there were quite a few items that involved interactive elements, and I just really was reminded of how much I love doing them. So hopefully in the next year we'll be seeing a lot more of these. Also, for YouTube videos, I am trying to do at least 2 a month, which is not that much, but I've been focusing a lot of my time on Reels, which are short videos on Instagram. I also post them on YouTube as YouTube Shorts, and I'm also over on TikTok posting the same cards as well. But I find Reels are just really easy because a lot of the cards, you kind of look at them, you kind of know what's going on, and you have a good idea of how the card comes together. And so it's been a hard struggle trying to figure out which cards you guys really want to see in a long version and which cards you guys want to see in a short version. I'm going to try to see that balance, as well as I think I'm going to be posting a little bit more behind the scenes for my short videos as well, which I will be posting here, and that involves like my Copic markers, different colors, how I clean them, how I refill them, how I package my cards, how everything behind the scenes comes together either before or after a card is made. So hopefully you guys are interested, and if you have any ideas, please leave them down below. I'm really going to try to stick with getting at least 2 YouTube videos a month, and then sharing a little bit more insight into the card making world, because I have been getting quite a few questions about specific things that aren't really addressed within a card making video. So it's kind of its own thing, but it might be really interesting for you to see. So for my coloring, I do my normal thing, which is 3 color combos. Usually I will start off with the darker color, and that will kind of lay down the base for my shadows. And as you move to the middle color, you kind of blend it out. And then the last color usually will completely blend out everything. So that's what I'm doing here, and I use an alternating color of red and gold. And when I went about coloring this particular dragon head, I actually had to Google it, because I've seen these, they're always around for Chinese New Year, and I'm very aware of them, and I know that the main colors are gold and red because that means prosperity and good luck. But I just didn't remember how it looked. So there's the white areas too, which is, the trims, and I just had to Google, and I do this all the time when I color because I usually like to stick with traditional colors. So for the second part of this card, I actually will stamp this little kid who's underneath the lion or the dragon. He'll be the one that's kind of holding up the head. Thought this was perfect because it would be what is revealed once the dragon head moves up. And I did actually make this card going horizontal, but it didn't work out because the idea that I was using for my pull up element didn't work out. I switched over and did this. I didn't show it, but it was a struggle. It was really clear that I hadn't made interactive cards in a while, and I just had a little bit of rust, which I needed to stop, kind of think about, and then redo. And this was really fun to color anyway. It was very simple. My colors were gray, which makes the white, gold and red, and so I didn't have to pull out too many markers to color up all my elements. But once I did color it up, I was really happy of how it came together. Definitely you can use all these different colors if you want. The dragon heads and the whole costumes kind of come in a variety of colors, but red and gold are usually the main colors that they tend to gravitate towards, mainly because of the good luck and the good fortune. This is so cute because I remember going to the Chinese New Year parade as a kid and seeing it on TV, and it was so fun because it's just this elaborate parade in the city. I live in San Francisco, so we do host the biggest Chinese New Year parade, I believe, in the country, and it's just really fun to watch. And if you haven't ever watched it before, I think it's broadcasted live on Chinese New Year, which I think this year is February 10th, if I remember correctly. Okay, so for the slider element, I am basically drawing this in and using my paper trimmer as well as a pair of scissors to cut kind of my slider channel. And the idea is that the dragon head will be moving up and down. So basically he's kind of revealing himself and then putting the head up. And I'll use my paper trimmer, which kind of allows me to cut my exact lines, and then my scissors just to chop off that interior piece. So my rust also showed up with these slider cards because I just couldn't figure out how to do it. And I'll show you in a bit. It's just a strip of paper, basically 2 strips of paper, and then I'll create like a little channel that I'll stick the dragon head on. But before I decided like, hey, I need some kind of background because all I had was a white background. So I pulled out paper Pyrotechnics stencil, which is about 9 fireworks, different fireworks. They're kind of in square boxes. It's a layering stencil that has the etching on it. So you'll line it up with the previously inked areas and you'll know exactly like where to go ahead and ink. And you can use as many layers or as little layers as you want to create these fireworks. And I did trim my panel down to 4 inches by 5 1/4, just so I would have some space for my pull-up tab. I'll go ahead and continue to stencil up my fireworks, and I won't show the entire thing, mainly because it's kind of repetitive. And if you take a look at the stencil, the release is live now, so you can go on the website and you can see the different types of fireworks that can be created with this. And I think it's really versatile, but you do have to mask off the edges, especially if you're inking directly onto your card panel because of the limited space around it. So for my slider itself, it's just a strip of paper, and then I will wrap another strip of paper around it and then kind of fold it in the middle and fold it over. I'll trim it off a little bit so it kind of forms like a U. It will create that channel for me to add my little dragon head onto it. So basically it's holding the dragon head as the slider will move up and down. So you could use a penny. You could use, there's just so many different varieties, but I really just went with my no die interactive card because that's what I felt like doing. It's kind of what I started with when I started card making. I just didn't have interactive dies and I just created my own. So you can see how it works. It works really well and it works out, but you also need to add foam tape on the back of your panel so there's enough space for that slider to move up and down because you will be attaching it to a card base. So remember, I did trim down my panel to 4 inches by 5 1/4. So there is a little bit of space on the right and left hand side as well as the top and bottom. And mainly I left space on the top because of the pull tab. I wanted to fit into an A2 card envelope. So I'm going to go ahead and just adhere it to my card base, which I picked red. I also taped down my slider with a piece of washi just to make sure it doesn't move so it doesn't get stuck with the foam. I will also go ahead and stamp and heat emboss a sentiment. It'll be gold on red cardstock because I really wanted to match the whole Lunar New Year theme. And then I will go ahead and heat emboss this. It's kind of my favorite thing to do heat embossing for sentiments, mainly because it makes it pop. But in this case, gold just looks really pretty on the red. And the coordinating dies for the sentiments are also included. So it stamps, or it cuts around it perfectly. and I will place it at the very top, and it won't get in the way of my dragon head or anything like that, so you don't have to worry about that. I also pull out one of the stamps from the Papercrafting Magic Stamps, which is just a ton of interactive stamp sentiments. So that is my card. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the video hop, and be sure to leave a comment for a chance to win. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!